like a button where I could click to change the brokerage. So I'm trying to figure that out.
All right, so I'm going to log into PALS and sort of show you around it a little bit. And I don't log into PALS very often, so I am far from the expert.
Mhm.
I will try to find where I can change brokerage, but because I run my own, I don't know if it's going to give me that button.
Mhm.
But I want to make this the video that kind of walks you through from day of signing on. And by the way, we are recording.
Mhm.
But I want to make this the video where we kind of walk you through everything. Now, the one thing I want to cover before is where the recordings go. And I'm still organizing this because I have a crap load of recordings.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just gonna bring my screen on board here now. So everything goes to my YouTube account, which is REI homepage. Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
YouTube Steve's REI homepage. Which
Yeah.
REI homepage? I'll kind of walk you through everything from the beginning here. REI homepage is nothing more than the brand where most or all of my links exist. It pretty
Mhm.
much just covers everything. So, like, if you go to reihomepage.com, and there are some resources here and more resources, all my resources will start here and then be blasted out in the resources section.
Mhm.
Flood Zone Finder is going to be a useful one for you, and we're going to have a skip tracing software and a few other things added soon. Tax assessment data, that's a Luzerne County tool. Every county is going to have its own thing. Calculators. But the flood zone finder one is cool because all you got to do is this is a federal FEMA website. If you go to floodsmart.gov, you'll eventually be able to click your way through here, but it takes like 10 minutes to figure out which buttons.
Mhm.
So what you want to do is, let's see, 457 Blackman, Wilkes-Barre. And the reason this is important, it's not really important for an agent or a wholesaler, but it is important if you're representing a buyer in any way.
Mhm.
Generally, blue is bad. Is just what will is pretty much the short version. Is that everywhere in the country is a flood zone. Everything's in a flood zone. Maybe not everywhere, but they've mapped pretty much everything. And zone A, anything, AE, AX, A, whatever the other A's are. If it's blue, it means an area where flood insurance will be required. And this is why this is important to your buyers is flood insurance is freaking expensive.
Mhm.
Um, and this particular house is one I sold because of the expensive flood insurance. When I went there and I looked around, and I've lived in this area for far too freaking long, I was like, oh, there's no chance this is flood zone. So I went ahead and bought it. And then I bought it for cash. I didn't, that doesn't come up. You know, nobody forces you. Um, and then when I went to get a loan on it, holy crap, it's in the flood zone. So
Mhm.
it's good, especially if you're representing a buyer, to kind of just glance here. Now, again, like everything else, we communicate on both sides, to sellers and buyers. We are we're okay. We're not even the expert in this, but we are the ones trained in how to sell property. We are not the ones trained in um, flood zones or insurance or whatever. So when they ask, is that asbestos? I don't know. It's a white corrugated product wrapped around pipes, which very often was asbestos, but only a scientist could tell you that. You're always hedging your bets. And
Mhm.
even this, if you're showing them this, you're saying, hey, I this is what I see the flood zone to be. Check with your lender and your bank.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, so that's kind of off to the side. So basically, on our homepage is pretty much all of my links. Um, on our homepage is pretty much all of my links. Guerrilla Real Estate, Wholesale Broker, da, da, da. So you'll pretty much get everywhere you need to from here. Um, and now backing up into, so when I talk about REI homepage and where to find stuff, you pretty much will find everything here. So if you were to go to PALS, and we'll kind of walk through this together, um, and you log in, um, and if you can't find it, like I said, their online help or their phone help are both very helpful. Um, Also on that last page, um, Yeah, so they don't actually make it that easy here. Let's see if they make it easier when you get in. Oh crap! Which one am I thinking? This one. Oh. All right, there we are. Your information. All right, and basically, where had you looked?
I looked on like where I was licensed at.
Okay.
And I tried to change it.
Yeah, and honestly, like this is the part where I haven't done this since I moved here to this firm, and I'm not even sure actually I did this the last time because when I started my brokerage firm, the inspector came here, inspected my office, and said, "Hey, you can open whatever you want." Literally, within the next day, I got a call from EXP saying, "How come you left our brokerage firm?" And I hadn't intended. I intended to wait about a month because I had some things that were waiting to close.
Yeah.
So like I don't remember if I did this or how I did this. So let me see if I can let me see if I can find it. Let me just do a quick little Google search here. Now also oh, well, I assume you can see this. This is just
Yeah.
So get your license and click the green pencil icon next to it.
Okay. All right.
And have a green pencil. Change request. Change of location or entity name. Possibly that's it. Oh, wait, that's my brokerage one. Now, if I click Steve Franco, verification, inactivate. Okay. So if that doesn't get you there, then where's their help crap? This. They are pretty good about answering tickets in a couple days. Let's see, dashboard again. Current renewals, saved applications, relationship between licensees. Help. Does help get us anywhere? Oh, help is just their ticket system. Okay. All right. So I will. I mean, basically, best answer there is to ask them because what I suspected is they're not giving me the button. Is what I'm guessing here. Communication, PALs, consumer information. Yeah. So somehow I don't have the button, or I don't remember where it is. So you can just also call them. They're very, very helpful on the phone. So that's the first thing you want to do, and I will actually I'll also contact them and get a description because I want to be able to put a description with this video. So at some point you'll see a link to a description on how to do it. Complaint details, verification, certification. This is verifying licensees, I think, is all this is doing. Yeah, this is verifying someone's real. Edit your information. And it is good just to periodically check your edited information and just make sure that nothing important has changed. Now, I just want to cover with everybody who ever sees this is the state has recently, and I think it's in the last couple of years. I don't think it's like recently. It used to be that only financial or real estate related crimes or accusations mattered against your license. They've widened that definition to the point, and I don't know whether it includes DUIs, but someone just brought this up to me last night. He's like, now the state wants to take my license. Now, I don't know the truth of what he said or whatever. The point is that it used to be you had to do something financial or real estate related to have trouble with your license, you're getting a lot more picky about that, about what you do wrong. So, like, if anything happens in your life that is, potentially like that, your broker is your first call. That's really what it comes down to. Is you're doing a deal and you're not sure where to go with it, you call me. You get a deal, call me. Something isn't right on the deal, call me. You get in, and I don't mean like a fender bender, but like, something else comes up that might, just let me know. It might be, hey, thanks for letting me know. I actually had a licensee, have now. He's one of my busiest guys. He had a pot. I think it was a distributing charge. I'm not even clear, honestly, what it was. But when he went to get his license, they said, hey, you're going to get a probationary license because of whatever it was, and your broker is going to have to accept that whatever. So, and this was pre-existing before he even got a license. This was whatever. The point is, keep me in the loop if let me know if something happens, and we'll discuss whether they need to. It's like, because I had someone who, like I said, the guy said to me, he's like, I got a DUI, now they want to take my real estate license. How the hell does that match up? I said, I don't know. He's not one of my guys. I said, I don't know, but they are changing the rules on that. Also, so basically anything that happens, your broker is your first call. And password security, contact SSN. Okay, that's not it. It's weird that my license is with PA. Download. So if I go Stephen Franco.
I'm going to email you my criminal background check so you have that.
Okay, yeah. And just I appreciate you sending it over. I don't need to see it as long as they're okay with you. I'm okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I it's funny you mentioned that, because since him, I've considered asking for it, but I pretty much run the rule of, like, if you want to share it, wonderful. Email it to, and everything you email of importance like that goes to Steve at Good People Good Homes, and also gpghrealty@gmail.com. What Realty does is Realty goes into our bin of documents. It's basically our online digital storage system. So then it's like, it's perpetually stored.
Yeah.
And verification. So anyways, yeah, so you're right. So the actual change your brokerage thing is not here. That's very strange. Okay, so obviously I'm getting nowhere here. We'll solve that later. So yeah, and believe me, I'm not pointing at anybody with that. I'm just saying that when the one guy came on board and he had a background, okay, fine, that was the first time. And by the way, what happened there, and this is not like it's pointing at you, but since this is going to be my like perpetual onboarding training, although I'm doing a bad job at it, is I actually had to sign something, which I'm totally fine doing, saying that if anything happened with this probationary license, I think they called it, I had to report to the board. And I actually went to my attorney. I said, so what exactly, where's my line? Because what if he doesn't tell me, or what, do I really have to rat him out? And the attorney's like, look, if you get a call, if you get notification of an actual criminal action or certain civil actions, yes. Like if you get a copy of if you get subpoenaed or whatever, yes. He's like, but the attorney's like, you don't have to quiz him every week and ask him what's going on in his life. He's like, no, that's not what they're looking for. And along with that, really where I was originally going with this is everything that happens to you as a licensee happens to me as well. So one of my biggest duties in the universe here is training and what's the other word they use for it? Anyway, training and supervision. I think there's other words, but whatever. And so, like, if you screw up and the state gets mad at me or gets mad at you, we're both going to Harrisburg for it. And they're going to probably fine me as much as they're going to fine you. So anything that goes out, anything you're not sure of, anything you haven't done before, like anything, I'm your first call. And yes, this is even because you're licensed, this is even in the wholesale world. This is even in the anything real estate related world.
Okay.
So basically, I'm your first call. The other, and I'll give you a cautionary tale from my own time, is years ago when I was fairly new in this game, I had a $2 million portfolio that I was selling. and I got a buyer for it. So I was dual agent, kind of dual agent. But anyway, and the buyer and seller went to inspections, and they couldn't come to conclusion. Didn't come to conclusion. Um, Buyer wanted certain properties removed from the portfolio, and he wanted certain other concessions, and seller said no. And we basically reached a point where both parties we passed the date for negotiation. And this is where the wording in your contracts, in the case of using PAR contracts, the contracts matter. Because I thought, because I hadn't properly read the contract, that parties didn't come to a conclusion, date has passed, therefore contract dissolves. So I went ahead and got another contract on the property with another buyer. And then the first buyer, and that was a hugely wrong choice to make. I didn't call my broker, I just went ahead. And the first buyer came back and said, oh no, we're going to bring in lawyers because we still have a valid contract and we want to enforce the valid contract. And in this particular case, what the contract says is if parties can't come to a negotiated settlement, buyer can accept property as is. I think, and don't quote me on this, but buyer can accept property as is or terminate. Buyer is the only one with the privilege at that point, is really what it comes down to. So when I went ahead and signed the other contract, I had two active contracts on one property. Either one could enforce their contract. The one that didn't enforce the one that got burned, if they both wanted to enforce, only one can win, obviously. There's a liability on the brokerage firm's behalf to the other one because we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, so basically any sign of uncertainty, I would give you a call.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in that case, your first question is read the contract and then call me and say, hey, do you think this is what it means? Mm-hmm. But yeah, pretty much any sign of uncertainty, give me a call. So once you sign and this is kind of starting over, you've already done this, but once you sign that packet of crap I send you, which is the onboarding packet, the independent contractor agreement, and you guys are independent contractors. You run your own show within the law, within the brokerage. You run your own show. We will mentor you, and then also there's the other one, policies and procedures, which is 80 pages of basically what you signed at EXP saying don't be bad, don't do harassment, blah, 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 blah. Once you do that, you go to PALS and you move your license. Once you do it, notify me and say, hey, I moved my license. Then I'll know to check PALS until they send me a thing that says, do you accept this guy? Yes, I accept this guy. Fine. Okay, good. At that point, now, the way the law is written is you can sign the packet of crap, the IAA, the independent contractor agreement, and the other thing, and you're immediately with me. Like you can start working because you can start working with a brokerage 10 days before you tell the state. I don't know why you would wait 10 days, but whatever. So you're legally right now with us, even though you haven't told the state, as long as we move quickly enough to get it done. So that means that, we start putting you together. And anything you do from here. So basically, once you do that and you tell PALS and I accept you, then your license will eventually show up here. They don't send paper licenses anymore. They used to send with that packet of stuff they sent me when they, here's your licensee's license. There used to be rip-off portions for you to carry in your wallet. There's not. What I suggest people do now is download this and print that out or store the picture of it or something in your phone, because there will be rare circumstances, and I mean once in the last 10 years, rare circumstances, that you're going to be asked for that. And you're going to be asked for that. I mean, the only time I was ever asked for my real estate license, I was going into an HOA, a housing association, gated community, and I had the appointment. Its appointment was confirmed. The seller had contacted the front desk, and we had this whole plan worked out. And the seller lived in California. He wasn't even close. And I go to the gate, and I give her my business card. I give her the phone. Give them all the identifying information. And she's like, "Where's your real estate license?" I'm like, "I don't carry that." She's like, "Well, I can't let you in." I'm like, "What?" the seller's on the phone with her and she's like, sir, I can't. And so we eventually got me in, but the point was there will be a rare circumstance in which you might be asked for this. So download this, store it in a Google Drive or something, have it available for that stupid once in a lifetime need. You're going to have it. Other than that, you'll never need it. Now, and I'm just doing this all off memory, so I want to make sure I don't. Hey, I'm doing the training. Can I call you back? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye. Sorry, that was Ryan. So, oh yeah, PA real estate. Oh yeah, okay. So it is the even numbers of years. I just want to make sure. So May 31st of the even numbered years, you have to renew your license, and that's a fairly easy process. You've got continuing ed you've got to take, and you've got continuing ed you got to take, and you sometimes have PAR stuff you've got to take. And that's if you are a real estate realtors member. So what's weird about that is it's every 2 years, no matter when you take your license. So those of you who are taking your license toward the end of the odd numbered year, check with PALS as to whether or not, so if you've taken your test, you're done, you're taking your test, there's a line, and I think it's January 1st, that if you take your license legally in December 31st, you got to renew in May. You take it on January 1st, you take your license, not the test. The test, you have the test done. You're just, when do I take my license? Claim my license. That line. And basically, if you're finishing your classes in the in the later part of the odd numbered year, check with PALS, because I actually was told I finished up in, I think, October of an odd numbered year. And my teacher was like, don't pull your license until January. Otherwise, you're going to be paying you're going to pay a license fee now, and you're going to have to take continuing ed and pay a license fee then. He's like, wait 2 months, sit on your butt, then pull your license. So you will have to, even though you just got your license, you will have to renew in May. Just, it is what it is, or before May 31st. Now, you will have to take a continuing ed course. Now, I don't care where you take your education. I don't care where you take your continuing ed. I like these guys. Local is better. I will tell you, if you got a local, teacher, and I can recommend someone down in the Philly area for you, Janice is wonderful. But CE shop, $100-something bucks, you're done. Now, by the way, those of you who are lining up to take a test, you've finished a training, whether for your salesperson or your broker license. These guys have the only, I'm not saying I know them all, the only test prep, I guess, software that I trust. $150 or something, and you can beat on the test as much as you want. If you're headed into taking a test, take their practice test until you get mid-90s. If you're getting mid-90s on their practice tests, you will then be fine on the other one. So within real estate on their website, if you're a new agent, this is your first renewal, there is a special continuing education package that you have to take. Basically, as a continuing ed, as a first-time renewal, there are certain classes they want you to take. So you want to be sure you take the first year package. And if you have any trouble, their online help service is terrific. The reason when I was taking my broker exam, I looked for other ones that were cheaper, honestly, for other test prep packages. And every other one, they were asking questions of how many parrots in a box and how many oranges. It's like, I'm not selling parrots or oranges. Like, literally the question, I figured it was parrots or oranges. So the CE shop is very quality stuff, is all I'm saying. If you didn't get it as part of your training package, and I'll tell you that, like, I have the book. I recommend the book to everybody. But I've never opened it since I've gotten my license, I'll be honest with you. But there's a yellow book called Real Estate Principles in Practice in Pennsylvania. And if you, this one here, Modern Real Estate Practice. If you're in a class and you're moving toward your license, you want this. If you already are licensed, is it worth it? I don't know. It's one of those things that I think you should have, but is it worth $50-$60 to get it after you're already licensed? I've never opened it since I got my license. But if you are heading into your training, you're getting your whatever, it's good to have. By the way, it's also the same book you'll use with being a broker and being a licensee. The information is the book is the same. The test is damn near the same. Whatever. So you've signed on. You've done your ICA, independent contractor crap with us. You've switched your license. Will, do you have any questions before I go further into it?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right. So basically, and for you, whether you get the book or not, just this is the book to use. One of the reasons, and I just want to finish this up real quick. One of the reasons this is the book is that his name isn't on the front anymore. Anyway, the attorney that is named what used to be on here, but maybe he's inside the book now somewhere. The guy that helped write this book is the real estate lawyer for the real estate for the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of a resource of whatever, he's actually also an independent lawyer. I've used him for a couple things, but whatever. So now this is all you need to do to transact real estate in Pennsylvania. And when talking wholesaling, because this is where I'm going to split between like license crap and realtor crap. When talking wholesaling, SB, the wholesale law, which is a really bad law, but whatever, says you must be a licensed agent in Pennsylvania to wholesale units. It does not, nowhere, anywhere at all, say you have to be a realtor. A realtor is a club. So understand that the reason realtors came about is in the beginning time. We're probably talking turn of the 1900s. There was not even licensing, and there would be people. The story I heard was there were people in New York who literally were carrying deeds under their coats and literally selling. Like that was it. You come up, you give the guy money, you sign a piece of paper, he hands you a deed, you're done. And at some point, the state said, "Well, that's freaking stupid because people are everything happens because of fraud. Everything happens because of complaints." So then they came up with licensing, and real estate agents were still doing stupid shit. So realtors came along and said, "Well, we're going to be an ethics organization, and you can be an agent without being a realtor, but if you're a realtor, you're better." And they've done a successful job up until the last few years of saying every agent's got to be a realtor. Like most residential customers would not consider listing with someone who's not a realtor.
Yeah.
So whether that's your experience, whether that's the direction you want to go, now that's an expense. That is an expense that you need to. And right now, the way the system is, it may be changing in January, but right now, the way the system is in order for you to become a realtor, one of two things has to happen. You have to join the Scranton board under me, and then you can join whatever other board you want. Or I have to join your board, and then you have to join your board. Either way, we're paying twice because the realtor system is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't really see a lot of value in the realtor system, but that's a personal choice. We can discuss it on a case-by-case basis. But you don't have to be a realtor to exist in the industry. Put it that way. And the reason I hesitated there is it used to be that you had to be a realtor to be a part of that. I'm required to make sure everyone that joins my firm is a realtor. Frankly, I ignore that stupid rule. And I think that rule is actually, is going away. So I'm not pushing anybody to become a realtor. If it fits you, great. If it doesn't, fine. If we get nailed by the board, we can have that conversation then. But just to understand, there's no realtor requirement. Now, what you don't get is you don't get access to realtor documents. I can send you a PAR document and fill it out and send it to you, kind of. But that's a copyrighted item owned by the Association of Realtors. So basically, you don't get access. And this is what's changing in January nationally. NAR used to say you don't get MLS access if you're not a realtor. They've changed that nationally and said the boards can give you access if you're not a realtor. They basically chickened out and said we can't, or they didn't chicken out. They said we can't force the state and local boards under us to do this, but we're allowing the state and local boards to give you access. So the which you I can get you whatever you need from the MLSs I'm a member of, but basically the NAR is kind of stepping back on keeping the realtor system locked down, partially because they see a lot of threat from homes.com and other places. That would be anyway, so that's all changing. So becoming a realtor is an option. Is it a good option? Yeah, probably. But like in the case of the guy you have down there that wants to list, I can just join Bright MLS and I can list it under me on Bright MLS and you can handle all the legwork rather than us both paying Bright MLS. I'm okay with doing that. At some point, you're going to, if you're doing enough business, you're going to say, of course, I want to join the board. When I was a beginner here, I was joined, this is before, so you don't know this, but Luzerne and Lackawanna County, Wilkes-Barre and Scranton are literally next to each other. Two cities are 15 miles apart. They used to be they still are two separate boards with two separate databases. If I'm a member of Wilkes-Barre, I couldn't see things listed by members of Scranton and vice versa. So I was a member of Scranton because that was my broker's primary membership, yada, yada. I had to borrow my broker's membership in Wilkes-Barre to list in Wilkes-Barre. Well, eventually they caught me. And I had to go and get a second membership. Then they merged the databases. So what boards you join depends on what we end up deciding you need. So that conversation about PIR is just that it gives you the option. Also, because you're kind of sort of near, we could, if necessary, have the conversation about reciprocal state and other licensing states if you needed to do business over the border of the state. We can wholesale pretty much anywhere. We can only list MLS realtor listing, take a listing in a sort of official sense in Pennsylvania. That's what our license does. Anywhere in PA, which brings me to the next conversation of so many damn phone calls. Brings me to the next conversation of referrals. You don't necessarily need to, you can take a listing and not necessarily do a listing. Some agents, I won't say a lot, make a good amount of money simply referring deals. In some cases, it's all they do. They call themselves referral agents. So if you get a client in Pittsburgh, you can say, hey, I'm going to refer this. And I'll walk you through the paperwork. And that other local agent is going to do the work, and I'm going to get a third of the commission or 20% of the commission or whatever is all negotiated. Legally, you can take a listing anywhere in the state. Legally, we can be the official listing agent. Whether or not we're a member of that MLS is a whole separate can of worms. That's a board question. We can have that board question later. But legally, we can. Like my partner Ryan, who just called me, he's a licensed agent, but he doesn't do anything. When he gets a wholesale deal when we get a wholesale deal that ends up having to be a listing, Ryan will refer it to one of my other agents, and they'll run with the listing, and he'll get 20% or whatever it is. Fine. So that's another thing you can do. You have the entire state as your pie.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that. And also, the truth is, if you're going to list someone who's far away, you gotta be honest and say, listen, I'm not the guy that's going to hang your door sign and do your showings.
Yeah, I was wondering how I was going to do that because I do want to do statewide for like volume.
Yeah, and by the way, we can also do nationwide. So the referral thing can work nationwide. If you have someone who is, maybe they're in California or they're selling in PA and they're buying in California, that's great. because you say to them, hey, listen, let me be your representative. I have one client, I'm doing this now. And by the way, I refer out all my clients. So like, I'll team you up with this guy and say, because we just made this deal yesterday, and say, hey, listen, whatever. But anyway, you can, if the client allows you, everything is client consent, client clarity, whatever. You can refer them to an agent anywhere in the country. Maybe it's anywhere in the world, don't know, but certainly within the U.S. And that other agent says, there's the whole documentation where the agent and broker say, yeah, we'll pay you 25%. And listen, I am happy. I will recommend you do this all day long. If an agent or any entity comes to you, and when I say any entity, I'm going to say any licensed entity, non-licensed, you and I have to talk, and says, I want to give you these leads and take a percentage of the commission, all day long, take that deal. Whether it's worth paying up front for that deal, I don't know. Ryan and I have done that a couple times and it's had fairly not awesome results. I think we've made enough money to make it worth doing, but whatever. But if somebody's saying, hey, listen, I'm going to give you leads and I want 25%, I would say 75% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So basically anywhere, basically. If you take it as a full listing, like we just took a listing of some land in Pittsburgh, totally legit. We can do that. We just told the guy, listen, we're not out there. We're not coming and putting a sign in your yard. In fact, there probably won't be a sign in your yard because, you want to be honest with the client as to what they can expect. And that's the most important thing. So did you have specific questions on that referral before I move on?
No, not at the moment. Do we do like photographers for pictures? Is that how we do it for like the property?
So that depends on the specifics with the client, because obviously professional photographers cost someone money, and they will always be better than what we shoot. I mean, certainly better than what I am a photographer. I shoot modeling portfolios, and I've got a background in TV, but my real estate pictures are frankly, mediocre at best.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't know the photography skills, it's just that I'm not going to spend hours setting up. I'm not skilled in it. I'm not practicing it. I will tell you that a real camera with I'm a professional enough that I can make manual settings or whatever. That's always better. I can walk you through how to shoot. But when every listing is different and you simply sit down with the client and say, listen, for this house, I'm going to come in and shoot the pictures. If you want professional photography, let's discuss that now. And then you and the client decide who's paying for that. The brokerage is not. I don't, we don't mind necessarily reimbursing you a couple $100 if you pay for the photographer. And then at closing, I don't mind saying, hey, listen, here's $200 for the photographer. I don't care about that. But I don't like hiring professional photographers for listings because 200 on that listing, it never sells. 200 on that listing. Now, will the professional photographer make it look a huge amount better? 90% of the time, yes. Will the drone flight, will the whatever? Yes. So is it better? Probably. Is it, but most average, especially Northeast PA, is a pretty basic market. A dipped in gold 3-bedroom, 1-bath is going to be about $250,000 in most parts of up here, less. Is that worth it? Coin toss. Just take good pictures. What qualifies as a good picture, and there's more depth to this, but usually chest height or lower, because the lower you shoot, the bigger something looks. Turn on all the lights. Make the room look as clean as you can. If someone's living there, life is life. But just warn them, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go and I'll take pictures the day I'm there signing the listing agreement with them. And then I'll say, hey, we're going to come back, in a week. And you've got time, unless their house looks right. But if their house is a disaster, I'll take a few pictures and then I'll come back in a week. And I'll say, listen, I'm coming back on Tuesday. Please just have your crap looking the way you want it to look in pictures. And then we kind of go from there. So whether you hire a photographer or not is a case by case. But as much light as possible, understanding one other reality, and you can let your camera pretty much auto this, but you can save, if you're a Photoshop guy, You can save a dark digital picture easier than you can save an overexposed one.
Mhm.
But if it's bright, the lights are on, it's looking neat, da da da.
Yeah.
You know, and what I do is I take one picture, take a picture in every corner of every room, basement, attic, whatever I can get to, exterior, da da da. I'm not necessarily posting them all. I'm also taking pictures of whatever. I'm taking pictures of the power panel, the furnace. I take the cover off the furnace if they'll let me, shoot the burners. I'm looking at the dirty stuff, and I'm looking for, hey, there's a crack there, and I'm taking a picture of the crack. Hey, there's this. I'm taking a picture of that. And we can, there is some judgment calls here, but basically, I'd rather people see what they're not going to like before they get into it, before they come visit. Why waste everyone's time if they're going to look at the power at the breaker panel saying it's Federal Pacific, which is a brand that has to be replaced?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it. So anyway, probably more than you needed, but who takes the pictures is a coin toss. Now, on that, when having pictures edited, and this picture on the screen is a great example, I seriously doubt that's the way that sky looked when they took that picture. I seriously doubt it's all this phenomenal everything. You can improve Photoshop, AI, blah blah blah. By the way, AI is hugely energy and water intensive. I use it a lot, but I don't like it. However, there are companies that are more sustainable in using less water, using less energy with their AI, they're renewable, whatever. But there's a case where, I'll use this house as an example, there were high tension power lines right in the backyard. The huge ass towers with the multiple wires going across. This is the picture they put on the ad. So someone bought the house without coming out to see it. And when they flew across the country, they see they've got high tension power lines in their backyard or within vision or whatever the deal was. Huge lawsuit, realtor lost, photographer lost.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it wasn't the reality. Now you can do this. You can touch up the house and stuff to a reasonable extent. But then I would note in the comments for that picture, touched up, ask to see original or something. What I'm saying is you can do some color correcting and you can do some minor stuff, but there's a line there, and I don't think anyone can define it exactly. But if it doesn't represent what you're selling,
Yeah, I'd rather them see something that looks bad, but then it looks better in person rather than something like this.
Exactly, and that's why, like, I will call attention in my private remarks. So within the listing system, there's public and private remarks. I'll call attention and say, hey, okay, so material facts are important, whether I call attention to it in the remarks or not. But the seller has to do in every sale of Pennsylvania law says every residential sale must. It doesn't say every listing. It doesn't say every realtor sale. It doesn't say every wholesale. Every residential property transaction must have a seller's disclosure. Most wholesalers blow it off, and many attorneys tell me, well, that's never actually prosecuted. Yeah, but it's still the law. And let's not get into that. EPA law, every house built before 1978 must have a lead. Every residential property built before 1978 must have a lead disclosure statement, which can be, we have no knowledge, no records. By the way, the correct answer is, you've got an old house, you've never had it tested, you have no knowledge, no records. We all know there's lead paint somewhere, but we can't prove it. There's no scientific test. So you always you don't want to call attention to problems, but I had a case where, actually this portfolio deal, his disclosure, because even though it was a commercial deal, so I don't follow disclosure and lead rules. Disclosure and lead rules say residential, meaning under 5 units, you must do this. I say, if people are sleeping there, you must do this. It's a commercial with an apartment, you must do it. Not you must legally, I make it done. I get it done. But there was something that I saw, a material fact, something I recognized as a potential or real issue. And the seller said, oh, we don't have to mention that. Oh, hell yes, we do. Material fact, and here's where it gets weird. Material fact is anything the buyer or seller might reasonably have chosen to, basically, if they think it would have affected their decision, it's a material fact.
Yeah.
So if you see something weird, if you know something weird, somewhere, somehow, you must disclose that something. And I have a property right now which is probably going to fall out of contract because of something found on inspection. Even though we resolved it, I expect the buyers are still going to walk. Like, we literally made the repair, but I think they're still going to walk because they asked for it to be repaired and they asked for $25,000. And like the house is only $100,000. There is no $25,000. When the agent was smart and she sent me, so the buyer's agent is not required to send me the disclosure. And normally I don't ask. I did screw up and ask in this case, but normally I don't ask for it. Because once I'm in receipt of it, I have to disclose it. I actually just upload it right to the MLS and say, here it is. Anything we know as agents, and this is licensed agents, has nothing to do with PAR. Anything we know as licensed agents is assumed to be known by our clients and pretty much becomes material fact. We have to disclose it. So if you find out that a property was condemned, even though your client didn't tell you or maybe didn't know, you're required to disclose that, even if your client doesn't want to. It's a material fact. So if something looks, so your attitude is right. You'd rather them see the bad news and not come.
Yeah.
Then come and find out, oh, this is what the house could look like if I spent $1 million on it. Now, there is nothing wrong with doing both. There's a listing out in Dingman's Ferry for some commercial, what used to be a bar, and their headline picture is gorgeous. And then their next picture is what it looks like now. Literally, the ad says, in the listing, says something like, primary picture is potential. Look at the next picture. They worded it better, but whatever. You're allowed to give what's called the pro forma. So if you're doing an investment property, you're saying it's currently making $5 a month, but it could make $5,000. You're allowed to give both. You just got to give the honesty too.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other questions?
So what's the process for finding like retail buyers? Like, I know there's investment buyers who want discounts, but sometimes I might have a seller who wants to sell full price, and it's kind of difficult to find like buyers like that.
So the easiest way, the easiest way to find any buyer really is, and this is why we use listing agreements rather than 1173s a lot of times. We don't use the 1173 wholesale agreement even when we're wholesaling because the seller can walk on us at any point. And not only is that frustrating, it's also disappointing to the buyer and you lose rep, whatever. But pretty much, I find the easiest way to get every buyer, if you don't list in that area, is marketing. Is basically whether it's listed on the MLS, it's put on Zillow, it's put on Facebook, it's put da. So we have a bunch of places, and when you get a lead, I'll help you with a specific distribution. Distribution is a whole different conversation, but really it comes down to marketing. It comes down to Zillow. It comes down to Facebook. It comes down to this, which is one reason to use an MLS, because Zillow propagates all of that crap. But that's really what it comes down to, because it's very hard on a retail buyer level. You can't really maintain a buyer's list of them because investors are great. And by the way, we have, when you get a seller or a buyer, we have a form, which I'll show you in a second, that you fill in the form and it goes into our system. So if they're a seller, they become a prospect and we work them and you move them along. There's a whole different training within the CRM. We won't do that today. But, we keep them. Sellers are very often single-use products because they may only have one property to sell. Investment sellers may not be. You might lost lead of the first deal with them, meaning give them a cut on commission in order to get their future business as a seller. Investor buyers are not single-use products. You're an investor, you're always buying. You may not, I haven't bought in 2 years, but I will eventually find something that I'm willing to buy.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm closing on one next month, but whatever. But It's very hard with the retail buyers, which are, again, single-use buyers for the most part. People buy one, maybe two houses in their lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can maintain a buyer's list of them. The most important thing to do is to create, and you probably already have these for you, but you want a business phone number. Google Voice is great, whatever. You want a business Facebook profile, Instagram profile, all of them, but basically Facebook and Insta and LinkedIn are the three most important. LinkedIn's investors, the other two are whatever, residential. And that's different than it's branched off your Facebook account, but it's a separate page. That's all real estate all the time. And you want to join that to, what's happening in Scranton and, what sucks about this and what's great about that. So the townies see you. You want to be actively posting. You want to become a visible commodity, and you're posting real estate stuff. You're posting, hey, I can give you lots of content, like, hey, Facebook trends this, and real estate trends that. And when you have a deal, you're posting it. You're creating what we do is we create a Facebook marketplace ad, which we copy over to Zillow and other places, but pretty much Facebook marketplace is a huge value.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, I mean, if Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, Homes.com, and I don't necessarily pay to post these things. If they hit me to a paywall, I'll see if I need it before I do a paywall. Craigslist used to be big, a little less so now. And then you take that ad and you paste it into all the groups you're a member of. Say, hey guys, I got this. Hey guys, I got that. Because the people looking for your visibility in these groups is going to get people in those towns to like you and trust you. And then they'll reach out and say, hey, I'd like you to be my buyer's agent. I'd like you to help me find da, 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 da. And when you post an ad, they're going to say, oh, well, I've seen this guy before.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you want to post, I mean, maybe not daily, but you want to post once a week at least. I mean, there's no magic sauce on finding buyers. And that ultimately is where the MLS and now Zillow and whatever, but has the power. And that's why it was created. I mean, that's literally why the MLS came to be. Was because if you were at Century 21 Andover and you had a listing before the MLS, and going back to like the 60s and whatever, how did another agent, and you bought newspaper ads and you did that. That's why you bought newspaper ads. Was because how else would anyone know your property was, and you put a for sale sign out, okay, great. But how does somebody in the next town who didn't drive down that road and didn't call your brokerage know you had that house? So retail buyers have to kind of be sought out to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The other thing we do when we don't even, so within the MLS world, there's a syndication email. You can email all the agents within whatever. But also what I do is whenever we get something, if it doesn't move like immediately, I will I'll look up and email all the brokers and agents in that town or community or whatever and say, hey, not on the MLS yet, but here, got this for you. Boom. And don't just send them the link. Give them a description. Make it easy on them. And that's the most important thing is when you're posting something, give enough information that on the first glance, someone can know, do I give a crap? Don't just say I have a 3-2 in Kingston, Pennsylvania. Who wants it? I have a 3-2 recently renovated 1,200 square foot, maybe include a picture or whatever. So someone at a glance can know. Like even when I'm forwarding out the Facebook Marketplace link in my Facebook, I'm putting the link in, and above it I'm saying, hey, 3-2, da da da. So someone can glance at my post, can glance at my email, can glance at my text message. And any responses you get, this is why you want a separate business email account as well. Any responses you get, you're saving them for future. And you're putting them in the CRM as well. So the next deal you get, hey, wow, I know I have 4 buyers in that market, whatever. So that's, I mean, and when you get something, we can work a little further on it, but that's kind of that's kind of how you reach out and get your retail buyers.
Yeah, sometimes I bump into a lot of the sellers that are interested, and I just can't, I don't have the buyer there for it. So it
You
kind
don't
of
have to. That's the important adage on real estate is if the deal is good, the buyer will always be there.
Yeah.
So don't be like, oh, I don't have a buyer there, because that again is where the Realtor Association comes in. And there are Facebook groups for real estate in whatever realtors in. Like, I can't post in the Luzerne County Association of Realtors Facebook group. I'm a member of it, but I can't post there. I can't say I have this available. Their rules are you don't use this for that. But I can post in NEPA Realtors, which is an open group for realtors in Northeast PA. So like there are groups for that. And so the point is, you're never telling a buyer, I don't have a property there, or a seller, I don't have a buyer there. You can, the reverse is great. Hey, I got lots of buyers there. But you're telling them, hey, listen, you're not lying to them at all. You're saying, I can help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to overpromise, but you also never want to chase them away and say, I don't have somebody for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody said, hey, if somebody had a single family in, I don't know, Ohio, Western Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, I don't really have anything, buyers of it. So, well, I can help find you a buyer. You're not saying, basically, you don't want to lie to them, make them think you have something you don't. But you say, well, this is what I do. I don't always have a buyer for everything I list.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're happy to share the wealth. That's the whole. There are agents who like listing and agents who like buying and agents who do both.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to work with them even if you don't have that
Yeah.
person in your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it so far.
All right.
You got my email, right?
Let me just. You sent me something?
Oh, I was just saying, for you to send me the papers so I could sign up and everything.
Oh, you didn't get the DocuSign a couple days ago?
I'm not sure. What's it called?
Oh, let me see where it went. Let me just pull it up right now. Sorry, I've been kind of underwater the last couple of days. So let me just see if I it came from DocuSign.com. Let me see what it called itself, and I'll show it to you right here on the screen. So maybe there's a typo.
Yeah, no, I didn't get any.
All right, hang on. Let me.
Yeah,
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I didn't get anything. Yeah.
All right, hang on. Maybe I thought I did it and I didn't, and somehow it didn't. I didn't do it, or I did get whatever happened. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And then I just want to wrap up with envelopes no sent. All right, so this went out. And I'm resetting it now.
All right.
Is that right? Oh, did I misspell something?
I'm waiting for it. Goodness. Inbox. I'm trying to see. Yeah. Yeah. EDX team, is that it? No, I don't see it. Goodness. Okay. Maybe it went to the spam, probably.
It's WILLIONARE Hustler.
Oh, that one. Yeah, you sent it to my other one. All right. I got a few emails. That's my business email. Yeah, I'm not looking on that one.
I mean, if that's not the right one, that was the email you gave me, was William R. Hustler.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go check it now.
All right.
I was looking on my other one. I should have it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. And basically what's in here is partner us with wholesale. This talks about different things on the wholesale side. What's also in here is the policies and procedures, which is pretty much the same one you signed with EXP. Don't be bad, don't take
Yeah.
harassment, stuff like that. And then the independent contractor agreement, where you're agreeing to stuff. So that's it. Any questions? That's that, but that's pretty much the package. Now, one last thing I want to cover, and then we've been on for a while, so we can split. Is when you get anything, when you offer anything for signature, or you get anything signed, it goes to two email addresses. Any kind of document, any copies of everything, disclosures, whatever, goes to gpghrealty@gmail.com and steve@goodpeoplegoodhomes.com.
Yeah.
I literally found out that I've got an agent who, you know, did 3 listings last week and never sent me the paperwork. I'm like, I got to have the paperwork. And I'll show you later how to work within the actual back end system. Now, here's what you're required now, because you're licensed. Every substantive real estate conversation has to, even wholesale.
Yeah.
When you're talking to them, you're supposed to read this long, boring paragraph of verbal consumer disclosure.
Yeah.
No one does it. What I make sure I do on every call is say, listen, I'm a licensed agent, licensed broker, whatever. Right now, we are not under a relationship. So please don't tell me your deep, dark secrets. Or like if I'm talking to a buyer and I'm the listing agent. So I say something like, hey, just so you know, right now I'm not your agent. You're not my client. I can do that for you. I can work both sides, but I represent the seller. Don't tell me your deep, dark secrets until we sign paperwork that makes it confidential. So it's something friendly and simple that says, hey, don't tell me you desperately need this house because I have to share that with the seller. Or if you've got no relationship, say, listen, just so you know, I can help you. I will help you. But as soon as you can, you want to send them a consumer notice. You want to send them the actual consumer notice.
Yeah.
And have it signed, even if it is. Now, this is not the PAR consumer notice. It's the exact same words. I'm just not using the PAR one for copyright. So if I'm not doing Association of Realtors, whatever. But the point is, you don't change this at all. You don't change the wording at all. This is literally copied from the state wording. Or you can use the PAR version. The point is they have to, and this is, when you send it to them, it's copied to GPGH Realty. You fill it out for them, except for the signature part. It's copied to GPGH Realty because we can't force them to sign it, but we have to be able to prove we sent it.
So PA has the contracts that we use as agents. I just use those, or do I have to like use yours?
So the association. So the consumer notice is the one that cannot change. It has to be exactly. So I prefer you to use either the PAR one or ours. But like literally, you can't write. You can't. I used to take the PAR consumer notice and add something about wholesaling when I was wholesaling.
Yeah.
And I was told that was even a violation. I didn't take anything away. I added to it. Well, that's a violation. So you have to make sure you're using the state's words. That is the only document that has to be the state provided document or the PAR equivalent. Everything else can be whatever. Now, firm. So if you've got a version you're using, great. Or
just make sure it's approved first.
Make sure it's approved, or I'll send you mine. Now, what we do, and I can give you the login to our Bunny doc where it's already set up as a template. It eventually, our Go high level software will eventually be the source for everyone. All documents will be written in there.
Yeah.
From there, they'll be stored in there. That'll probably be early January. But how do I say this? But for right now, I'll give you a login to our Bunny docs. You can use that, or I'll send you the documents. You can use that. We use as a listing agreement what's called a net listing. This is how we get around the wholesale law. Not get around, we're just simply not using it. We're not wholesaling a property. So there's two ways properties can be listed. The traditional commission sale percentage. That's what your guy with the $600,000 house wants. And he wants to make all the money and we make, 5% or whatever. Fine. And on that one, before I forget, you have to try to make it sound better than I do. I'm pretty bad at explaining this. But because of that scandal a couple of years ago, with the commission and the NAR paying all these fines and reparations and all that crap, the thing that says, by the way, on the MLS is you cannot, within the MLS, you cannot talk about buyer agency commission.
Yeah.
Which is completely opposite to what they claim their intention was, but we can't. The board will fine you.
Mm-hmm.
But within that, it said that we have to explain, which we should as agents anyway. You have to explain to this guy, anybody who wants to work on a commission base, which is a normal listing agreement, that, listen, sir, we cannot tell you what to pay in commission. We can't tell you what you have to pay in buyer commission, or if at all, you don't have to pay at all. And we also can't even tell you what you have to pay us in our commission. We can never say, well, all realtors charge a 3% seller commission, or you've got to pay 3% seller commission. We can't say that. Now, we can say, I won't take this listing under X percent.
Yeah.
We can say that, if you want to pay 1% and I want 2%, good luck finding somebody at 1%. And they probably will. There's people out there that'll take it.
Yeah.
But we can set our own limits. And if you want to set a limit that's, talk to me about your limit, because I've got to approve the limit. Like if you said, hey, I want to do this for 0.1%. Well, then I'm going to tell you, well, great, you're going to lose money in every transaction because I have minimum. You have to pay me a minimum for closing. We also have so basically, and we also said you don't have to pay the buyer agent anything. Now, everybody on commissions. So like the 5, he's probably thinking includes buyer and seller, and that's a reasonable answer. Is that they can offer 0 to the buyer agent. And I have I haven't found a skilled way to say this, but I say to them, how do I say this? So I say to them, listen, you don't have to pay a buyer agent commission. And the buyer agents are not supposed to choose which properties their clients see based on the commission offered by the seller. I then follow up and say, but think about the buyer agent as a human who's trying to feed their family. They have 4 properties. 2 offer a commission from the seller and 2 don't. Legally, they're supposed to present all 4 equally to their buyer and let their buyer take action.
Yeah.
Emotionally, what are they actually doing?
Yeah.
And usually the sellers go along with it. And 5 is pretty much where most of my listings end up. Like you try for 6, but usually they end up at 5.
Yeah.
And that's funny, 2.5, 2.5. And we don't have to offer equal. Now, here's the other, and you have to ask the seller, what am I doing? There's 2 lines within a commission-based contract. One is, what is the seller paying us? What's the total, basically, what's the total commission offered? And then how much, or what's the total commission promised?
Yeah.
And then what's the buyer being offered? And here's where they've kept that language, but here's where it can both work and backfire. If they agree to pay a 5% commission, the buyer section of the PAR agreement says we offer 2.5 to the buyer agent. Now, nowhere in there does it say if the buyer agent doesn't take it, we drop our commission back to 2.5. So in theory, and I've never had this happen, seller's paying 5, buyer agent doesn't want their commission because they're getting paid by their buyer. Therefore, we make extra money. And I truthfully think if the buyer agent didn't take it, I probably would be honest with the seller and say, listen, you only have to pay me 2.5 because the buyer agent didn't take the money. But legally within the contract, we don't have to. Now, the net listing agreement, same agreement basically, but without the percentage, you're replacing it with a net listing, effectively pays you like a wholesale.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you $100,000. Whatever I sell it for above that is my money.
Yeah.
And so those are the 2 categories. So basically, If you've got contracts you use, you want me to review them, send them over. We fill in guerrilla real estate, yada yada. You know, as long as we're okay with it, we're okay with it.
Yeah.
You do have to have in them any contract you offer, buyer or seller side, and I have this as an addendum, has to have the PA recovery, whatever that's called, PA recovery fund. We
Mhm.
have to inform them that that exists.
Yeah.
So consumer notice, recovery fund, contract, and then maybe disclosures. And people say, what the hell is a recovery fund? Say, listen, if something hits the fan and the brokerage firm is no longer in existence or doesn't have enough to cover whatever the judgment is, then there's money. But something's not going to hit the fan. We do have errors and omissions insurance, nothing, and it's covered, but legally I got to inform you this exists.
Yeah.
Most people don't give a shit and most people don't notice.
Mhm.
90% of the time, they'll simply sign whatever. Once you've agreed to it, they'll simply sign whatever you send them.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So that's. I think that's probably more than what you needed for getting started. But so you got everything now.
Yes.
All right, man. So any questions? I'm here all the time. Let me know when if you want to three-way that conversation with that guy who wants to list, or if you want to do it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing. So what we do is, and this is, I mean, you've been in the game for a while, so you tell me. It's always you tell me what you need, but typically, I'm available to mentor, to ride along. Okay, so on a payment structure, let me walk through that real quick. So if you're doing the 80-20, which is what your thing says,
Mhm.
top 20% goes to the brokerage firm, bottom 80 goes to you,
Mhm.
and that's up until you paid the company 10,000. That goes to 100, whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm referring someone to you, I'll very often say, hey, instead of 80-20, we're going to 60-40 this or 50-50 this or whatever. This, if you want this lead, this is what I want for having worked this lead. And usually I only do that. I don't do that if something just calls me and I pass it over. I typically don't do it for that. But if I have a pre-existing client that I know they're going to be still calling me on the back end, they're going to be asking me to verify what you told them, or they're going to be asking me my opinion.
Yeah.
Then I'll say, hey, get something else.
Mhm.
So that is the payout structure.
Mhm.
Alongside that is, and I actually forgot where I was going with this, so I'm gonna have to pick this up on a different video. But basically, every percentage that is paid out. So that number, this is what I'm going. That number is if the brokerage firm cashes a $10,000 check and has no other expenses out of the deal, then that's the number. If we've agreed to pay a referral to somebody or something else, some source, some other piece of the pie comes out, that 10,000 becomes 8,000, and the 80-20 is calculated on that. So if we have to pay 20% to a referral source, 10,000 just become 8,000, whatever. And then our percentages are figured from that number. Now we do have a transaction coordinator, and I'm trying to work out exactly how I want to build this back. Normally on the wholesale world, she gets 10%, and she is right there in the soup with us. In terms of you're in charge, but she's making sure it all happens, and she's reminding, and she's chasing documents and whatever. To me, that's easily worth the 10% to have somebody not mess with it. So then that 10,000 just became 9 because we're giving her 10%. And the beautiful part about this arrangement, 10% is high for TCs, but other TCs charge $300 to $600 per side. Win, lose, or draw, closed or didn't, you're paying.
Yeah.
Whereas this, if you say, hey, I don't want to use a TC, we can have that conversation. That's fine. But we have that resource there. We have lots of other resources. We have batch leads. We have whatever.
Yeah, I need as much help as I can get, so I'm not too picky about it. I just want to do deals and grow.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, I wanted to, yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to walk through. I wanted to walk through that. I wanted to walk through that because a lot of people say, oh, it's 80% of 10,000, no matter what the company expenses are. Well,
Yeah.
not really, because at some point I wouldn't be making anything. What's the point?
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll figure it out. So anyway, so I appreciate your time. I know we ran a little over, but
Mhm.
we'll go from there. Oh, and the last thing is YouTube. So with YouTube, and I want to switch to the right account. Switch account to this one. It's this, which is view my channel at Steve Franco REI.
Okay.
And my VA slowly organizes this. Usually about every 2 weeks, she sticks things in different boxes and
Mhm.
different playlists. And yeah, one of the playlists is field hockey, just whatever. And
Mhm.
this stuff goes back like 15 years. Like this is what I've always recorded. Some of it's good,
Yeah.
some of it's bad, whatever. But everything is here, and I can walk you through the exact playlist stuff later. But there is your YouTube. There's your YouTube. Like as soon as I hit stop on this
Mhm.
recording, it'll instantly be in the main bucket. She'll move it. She'll move it away somewhere. So when I say it's on YouTube, it's here. I will eventually get on REI homepage a directory of where you go, and I'll password protect crap and whatever, but it's not there yet. All right, that's it. Any questions?
Um, that's it so far. I'm see if I can get the seller on the phone and see if we can get a meeting and see how we can negotiate
Yep.
the listing.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you just run. Okay. Literally one last thing. I am open to, and does not change the
Mhm.
percentage split. I will do virtual ride-alongs. If I have to drive down to
Yeah.
Philly, I probably want to take a bigger piece of the pie. But like, you tell me, hey, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm going to assume, your first few seller meetings, your first few buyer meetings, you're going to want me there. And very often, what I'll do, and I'm doing
Yeah.
this with self-storage calls, is it's a doctor method. First few, you listen to me run the show. Second few, I listen to
Yeah.
you run the show. Da, da, da. So what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, Steve, can you be on this call?" That's my point. That's what I do as a broker.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
okay with that.
whatever. I mean, you tell me because you've been playing the game for a while. You tell me when you need that,
Well,
but it's there.
yeah, I still need practice when it comes to like negotiations and everything. So I'm
Yeah.
still in when it comes to being an agent. I do need a little more practice in that
Oh God,
area.
yeah,
So I don't mind.
yeah.
So yeah.
And don't make any. I mean, listings, especially in the beginning. Talk to me about everything, but when you're doing a net listing, let me approve all of the all of the things before you tell the seller, hey, I agree to 100,000. Check with me. Let me double check all the math, because some sometimes people, I never want to promise a seller 100,000 if I think it's 80. I'd
Yeah.
rather say, listen, we can try it. 100. So just bounce stuff off me. Say, hey, listen, here are the comps I found. Here are the pictures. What do you think?
Yeah.
And feel free, if I don't respond quickly, to bug me, because sometimes I just won't notice something.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for the last hour and whatever, and I may miss something that already came into my phone over the last period of time. I just may not see it.
Mhm.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
I'll talk to you tonight. Bye bye.
All right.